For far too long, my credit card strategy has been more than enough to handle. From airline cards to hotel cards, general travel cards, and cashback cards, I even got lost in my own strategy sometimes. But now I've come up with an all-new strategy that is efficient, simple, high value, and I've never seen anybody else use it. So get ready because the reveal is coming at you right now. For part one of this video, we'll go over my core cards. That is the ones that will be getting the bulk of all my spend on a day-to-day basis to keep things streamlined and easy for me to keep track of. And the first card of this core here is going to be the Citi Premier card. And if that surprised any of you, well, you're not alone because it surprised me too. But here's why I chose it. The reward structure is absolutely incredible here with so many different categories covered at a high value. The first few here are not super relevant to me, but I will mention them anyway because some of you might find value at least for as long as it lasts. Through June 30th, 2024, you can earn 10 points per dollar on hotels, car rentals, and attractions when you book them through the Citi Travel portal. What happens after June 30th? Well, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know if Citi may extend it or really discontinue it altogether. We will find out shortly enough though. Beyond that, there are some permanent categories that I love. They are as follows: triple points on air travel, triple points on all other hotels. That is the ones that are not booked through Citi's portal. So you can book these directly or in other places. Triple on restaurants, triple on supermarkets, triple on gas stations, and 1 point per dollar on all other purchases. Talk about a powerhouse of a card. The second card to add to the mix is going to be the Citi Custom Cash card. This one also has some limited time opportunities when you book hotels, car rentals, and attractions through Citi Travel. You'll earn 5% cash back on all of those. This one is all the way through June 30th of 2025. Then jumping to the very bottom, we also see that this card earns 1% back on all of your other non-category purchases. But what really grabbed my attention with this card and why I love it so much is due to the 5% top eligible spend category. That is up to $500 per billing cycle, so roughly every 30 days. What this means is that wherever you spend the most in a billing cycle from the eligible categories, you don't have to think about a thing. Citi automatically awards you 5% cash back in the form of Citi Thank You points, the same points that the Premier card earns, by the way. So it's a super high return, and of course, because it's your top spend, it can change from one cycle to the next cycle. So up to 12 times per year, you're going to maximize your biggest spend category with Citi. As I record this, there are 10 eligible categories and they're all extremely useful, including restaurants, gas stations, grocery stores, select travel, transit, streaming, drugstores, home improvement stores, fitness clubs, and live entertainment. In other words, wherever the Citi Premier card leaves a gap in my strategy, just put the Citi Custom Cash card on the table and that one will fill it for me easily. Then outside of any specific categories, for my general catch-all card for everything else, I'll bring in my third card here, which is going to be the Citi Double Cash card. By the way, if you want to learn more about any of the cards mentioned in this or in other videos, check out my site, markscreditcards.com/offers, to see a bunch of them organized by category. That way it's easy for you to find the ones that interest you the most. Once more, we have some limited time categories here. They mimic what we saw earlier with 5% on hotels, car rentals, and attractions when you book those through Citi Travel. This one goes through December 31st, 2024 before those expire. However, my focus is of course the flat 2% cash back on all purchases. That is 1% when you buy and then the other 1% when you pay your bill. Something else that I love, all three of these cards earn the same type of points called Citi Thank You points. So you can pool them all together into a single balance to make it very simple and of course have really high value because the Citi Premier allows you to move them all out to transfer partners, which we'll cover in a little bit. But I'm not done just yet. I've got a few other really large spend categories every single year that I want to capitalize upon a little bit more than just earning 2%. So to boost my earnings a bit further, I'm going to add another card here, and this one is going to be the US Bank Altitude Reserve. The trend of earning the most points through a bank portal continues with this card too, so you'll get 5 points per dollar on hotels, and on car rentals when you prepay them up front and book them through the US Bank Altitude Rewards Center. Not much value for me, but just letting you all know what the entire structure is all about. There's also a much broader triple point category for travel. I probably won't get much use out of that, but maybe so for transit. And then the best reason why I'm choosing this card is for triple points on mobile wallet spend, which is absolutely incredible with, right now at least, no cap. The reason why I'm so excited about the triple point mobile wallet category is because I spend a lot of money at Target and Costco, both of which take mobile wallets, so this is a great way to earn even more points. Now, as I started to walk the tightrope between convenience and maximum value, I decided I had room for one more card. This one was going to capture another major spend category for me every year. And because it requires almost no management on my part, I decided to add it. It is the Amazon Prime Visa card. There are a bunch of great overall categories here. Some of you might even want to use this card as your everyday card because it captures so much, like 5% on Amazon and Whole Foods and Chase Travel when you book it through their portal, plus valuable 2% categories at gas stations, restaurants, and local transit and commuting, then 1% on everything else. For me though, this is just going to be 5% back on Amazon, and that's it. I add this card to my Amazon profile. It's there when I check out. I don't have to think about the number or anything like that. I just click on buy and it charges it to my card, and 5% is done. I just remember there's something I want to tell you all. Just because I'm greatly simplifying my overall credit card strategy does not mean I'm done applying for new cards forever. And when I do, and when you decide to apply, always keep security top of mind. You see, whenever you apply for a new card or bank online, you want to make sure your information is secure and get alerted if it's not. Just like how I was notified last week about my own social security number being found on the dark web due to the recent AT&T data breach. We're doing our best to create a better financial future for ourselves, so don't let a scammer take that away. Have you ever Googled yourself and were shocked to find your personal information exposed on one of those public listing sites? These sites can have your full name, email, and your personal address. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura can identify the data brokers exposing your info and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. You can try Aura free for 2 weeks using my link right here. Aura also includes so much more to protect you and your family from online threats, including a built-in antivirus software, VPN, password management tool, identity theft protection, and more. It basically gives you a single place to go for all of your online protection needs at one affordable price. You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off your private information, or you can take action by going to aura.com/MarkReese to begin your 2-week free trial. Link down below in the description as well. Now back to my credit card strategy. All right, so across these 5 cards that I've chosen, there are a lot of different reward multipliers here, many of which overlap and some of which I will never use personally. So discarding all of those, here is the overall combined reward structure that I'll be working with. And yes, I'll even color code it for you all, that way you can see which card is responsible for the awesomeness. Beginning there at the top, I'll be earning 5 points per dollar in a category of my choice every billing cycle where I spend the most. Then we'll have 5 points per dollar at Amazon, triple on air travel, hotels, other travel, restaurants, supermarkets, gas stations, and mobile wallet purchases, and then wrapping that all up with double on everything else. And while that all sounds good, let me put it in more concrete terms for you all. Here are all the reward multipliers that I just mentioned. Now let's assume that I want to redeem my points at the end of the year for cash back. Well, what would the percent return be on the spend by using these cards? Well, here you go. It's really 5%, 3%, 2% respectively, because the points in every single one of these programs, namely Citi, Amazon, and US Bank, are all worth 1 cent per point. No crazy math that you have to do, it's just a flat consistent value. But on the flip side, let's say I wanted to redeem for travel. Things get a little more complex, but the value goes up in a big way. So the percent return for travel here is as follows. 8.5% on my top spend category, 5/5.1% on Amazon, air travel, hotels, also restaurants, supermarkets, and gas stations, 4.5% on other travel and mobile wallet, and then 3.4% on everything else. The methodology behind those percentages is due to the assumptions I made there at the bottom of the screen, where my Citi points have access to some great transfer partners, so I'm giving them an average value of 1.7 cents per point. I could get way more value than that, or also less based on the itinerary that I build. Also, US bank points for travel are worth 1.5 cents each. That's a flat rate. And also Amazon points have no additional value beyond the cash value, so they're still at 1 cent. And as much as I'm loving the reward multipliers of this new setup, it gets even better. Here's an overall kind of view here of some of the total fees, transfer partners, and other benefits with all these cards merged together. So annual fees, $495, but moving down to the other benefits section, you can see I've got some credits to use to really offset most of that, like a $100 annual hotel savings from the City Premier, a $325 credit for travel and dining from the US Bank Altitude Reserve. Then when I renew TSA PreCheck / global entry, I'll get $100 covered also from the Altitude Reserve. Hopefully that'll go up to $120 to cover the new heightened fee of the programs coming later this year in October. Also a Priority Pass membership that gives 8 complimentary visits per year from the Altitude Reserve card and no foreign transaction fees. And then of course with Citi, I've got access to a bunch of great transfer partners like 14 airlines and 4 hotels. For all of you curious to see which airlines are a part of this list, here's a nice visual for you all. Feel free to pause at this moment and look them over as long as you would like. Then switching over to the hotels, here are those 4 programs as well. Moving into part 2 for my hotel cards, and I will warn you on the screen here, it will look very complicated, but it's actually way more simple than you might think. Here are the cards that I'll be using for spend. So whenever I go to a hotel and I'm paying cash, I like to use the corresponding co-branded credit card for that brand. So when I'm going to a Marriott hotel, I've got my Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant American Express card. When I go to a Wyndham hotel, I've got my Earner Business, so on and so forth. So really, most of these cards just stay at home. I never think about them, but when I go on a trip, I'll grab the right one, pay for my room and all incidental charges on the card. When the trip's over, it goes back in my drawer at home. So it's so easy to manage this, and it's very obvious to tell which one to bring because it's got to match the hotel that I'm staying at. But I actually have 4 more. So bringing them all now on the screen, here are all 10 hotel cards that I have. You can see a lot of them overlap. I got a couple with IHG and 4 with Marriott as well. So again, the multipliers are there. So if I'm spending cash, I'll use the right card. But I also just keep these cards alive and active in my drawer at home for their benefits. All of these cards give some sort of opportunity to earn a free night, or you just are given a free night outright, or some bonus points every year that can be redeemed for a free night. The one outlier though is the Hilton Honors Business Credit Card that you see in the bottom left-hand side. That's why I put it in red font. That benefit is going away actually, so I'm on my last year of using it. But while I'm using it, I might as well show it to you all. Ultimately, what this part of my strategy comes down to, as you can see here at the bottom of the screen, it's the reward multipliers when I'm spending cash, the annual free nights, and then the elite status as well for things like room upgrades, food benefits on site, late checkout, and the like. So rather than being overwhelmed by all these cards and saying, how do I manage them all? Really, it just comes down to putting them in a binder, leaving them at home, and then viewing them as part of my travel budget whenever I want to redeem a certificate. And wrapping all this up, my airline credit card strategy, which is the easiest part to talk about of this entire video because there's a one single card here, the Citi Advantage Platinum Select World Elite MasterCard. It's got a lot of words, but I only use it for the benefits since I do fly AA quite a bit. I namely get the first free checked bag on my domestic itineraries for me and up to 4 other people on the same reservation, plus preferred boarding and also an in-flight discount of 25% off food and beverages. Okay, given that we've covered so much ground here, here's a nice summary of everything that we've talked about. My core strategy, representing 95% of my personal spend, is going through these 5 cards right here. 3 of which are from the same issuer. So that means 1 login, 1 dashboard, and massive ease of management as well. Then for the remaining 5% of my spend, that's gonna go on these hotel cards here, whichever brand I'm staying with. And if I'm not really doing much in the way of a paid stay, perhaps I'm redeeming points instead, then I'm just using those cards for some free nights every year, which free really meaning discounted nights, because these cards do have annual fees. So I view it as like getting a night for $95, for example, when it could have cost $250. Then there at the end for my airline card representing 0% of my spend, that's just for some benefits on AA. I have the card associated with my Advantage account for that purpose. All that said, I must tell you all that I'm extremely excited and relieved to have 95% of my spend/focus now only going to 5 cards. And if you're wondering how I got to this point, you'll definitely want to watch either of these 2 videos next. One is about why I was ending my maximization strategy because it was simply way too fatiguing and all the underlying reasons why. And the other one is how many credit cards is too many. I compare 1 versus 2 versus 3 and more to help guide you to find your ultimate setup as well. And in case you've already seen these 2, you can also click the icon here on the screen or go to markscreditcards.com/offers to view a bunch of great cards organized by category. That way you can find the ones that interest you the most. I'll see you there.